Hey guys, welcome back to more Reddit stories about entitled people, crazy people, and everything in between. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and let's get into it, friends. Dear sports parents, hotels are not daycares. Parent your children. Let me start this out by saying that hotel staff dread kids' sports teams. Whether it's kids ding-dong ditching other guests, drunk parents messing up the lobby, or generally disturbing other guests, kids' sports are dreadful affairs. Kids are there to have fun, parents are there to live vicariously through their children. Over my 6 years working in this industry, I've got my share of stories to tell, but one sticks out like a sore thumb. A bit over a year ago, I found myself calling the police to have a team of possibly drunk middle school girls and their absolutely plastered parents removed from my hotel. I've worked the graveyard shift at a smallish hotel for the last 4 years. I love it. It's a do whatever you want as long as you get your job done job. I essentially get paid to sit around playing video games most of the night. During my shift, I am the only staff member on the premises. While I'm good in a crisis, I'm not an imposing figure. I'm a barely over 5'1", fat, pale as a sheet, baby-faced 26-year-old woman. My hotel has a 2 strikes you're out policy when it comes to noise complaints. Doesn't matter who you are or what you're doing. I've kicked guests out for f***ing too loudly. If we get 2 noise complaints about you, you're out. If you refuse to leave, I will call the police to remove you. We also have a 10 p.m. curfew for children. They can't be outside of their room without a parent. On the night in question, we were hosting several middle school girls' hockey teams for a tournament. While most of the kids were in bed, there was a group of girls who were wandering the first floor lobby area. When I told them they needed to be in their rooms, they pointed to a group of adults drinking in the lobby and said they were their parents. I went back to my work and thought nothing of it. A little while later, I was on my way to deliver something to a guest, when the girls joined me in the elevator, chatting loudly. When I warned them about our noise complaint policy, they just laughed at me. I knew I would be kicking them out when I saw one of them waving to the security camera while I was in the back office. A little while and one noise complaint after that, the girls walked through the lobby with one of their dads, and I warned him that I'd have to kick them out if I got another noise complaint. He laughs. Their quote, parents in the lobby tell me they have no idea who those girls were. One of them comments that he thinks the girls might be drunk. Bear in mind these girls are only 12 to 13 years old. I've done housekeeping. Parents have no problem with leaving booze out in the room they're sharing with their kids. Not long after comes the death knell, the second noise complaint. I grab my phone and head up. Get to the room and it's just the 6 girls and no parents. I tell the girls I need them to take me to their parents because I'm kicking them out. One of them calls their mom and tells her we're kicking them out. I've dialed 911 and I'm on the phone with an operator who tells me to walk away from the situation. I go to the elevator trying to no avail to get one of the girls to come with me to take me to her parents. I should note that there are 6 girls and 6 parents. One of the moms walks up to me while I'm headed to the elevator. Entitled Mom 1 says, "I can see you're having some issues right now. You just need to calm down. No, your families need to leave." The mom continues to try and comfort me about my personal issues on the elevator ride down. I get off the elevator and find myself backed against a wall by 6 drunk, angry parents. Mom 2 says, "My daughter said you put your hands on her and she has video." And Dad 1 says, "We're paying X amount of money to stay here." And Mom 3, "Look, I can tell you're young and I'm much older than you." Dad 2, "I want to talk to your manager." "I am the manager," I said. Slight fib, but I am the most senior person on staff at the moment. All parents continue like NPCs with only 3 dialogue options each. Now that one of them thinks I put my hands on her child, I'm scared I'll get hurt if I make a wrong move. I eventually manage to slide along the wall and have a clear path to the front desk, bolt back to the office, lock the door, and wait for the cops to arrive. 2 officers arrive. One comes to the back office and I give him a rundown of the night. The other officer goes to talk to the parents, and Entitled Mom 3 does most of the talking. Officer has the patience of a goddamn saint. After an hour of talking and a few uncalled for snide comments from me, cops head out. I tell them my manager will get the security cam footage for them. Parents and kids grab luggage trolleys and bring their stuff down. Parents have a 9-hour drive ahead of them. One of them broke the mini fridge in the room. Standard charge of $250 for that. One of the most infuriating comments that kept popping up throughout this whole ordeal was, "I'm paying X amount of money to stay here." Everyone is paying to stay here. All 100 plus guests in this building are paying to stay here. Paying for a hotel room does not entitle you to stay at that hotel. Entitled Mom 3 calls the next day, says she'll call the police on me. I tell her to go ahead. I've broken no laws. She says she knew that I was going to charge her for damages, not realizing that she's basically confessed to breaking the fridge. She says I've traumatized the girls. Who will the jury have sympathy for? Yada yada. Eventually gives up and hangs up. The new fence. Recalling this story made my heart smile. A few years ago, I was building a new fence for a friend of mine. I had to remove the old sections that were falling apart first, of course, and when I got to the intersection of his back fence, his side fence, and the next door neighbor's back fence, I carefully separated the neighbor's fence from his, and proceeded to carry on removing the side sections that went between their two properties. My friend had told me that the side section was 100% on his property, and that the previous owner 30 plus years ago had deliberately given the next door neighbor's property an extra foot or so to ensure that he was building on his own property, without calling for and paying for a survey. The neighbor, Susan, whom I will refer to as Karen for the remainder of the story, came running outside screaming at me that I couldn't remove the side fence, and it was their property and just what do I think I'm doing? I responded back, very calmly, that my friend had told them well in advance that he was going to replace the fence, that he was just going to build it in the same place as the old one, and asked if they were willing to split the costs, to which they declined. No biggie. Karen started screaming at me again, telling me I had no right to do that, and that my friend didn't give them proper notice, and that she didn't realize that there wouldn't be anything between their two properties to contain their dog. By now, I'm about ready to lose my crap. So I knocked on my friend's back door to let him know what was going on, and that he needed to talk to Karen, and that I was leaving because I didn't want to do or say anything I would regret, or cause problems with the neighbors for my friend. The entire project got put on hold, pending a property survey that was going to cost $650, and that they demanded my friend pay half of, despite him telling them that the fence was definitely on his property, and nothing was going to change with the new fence, and that he was fine with them continuing to have a foot or so of his property, so that he didn't have to rock the boat. Fast forward to the following Monday when the surveyor comes out. Turns out the old side fence was not a little on my friend's property, but almost 10 feet onto his property. And the neighbors had built up raised flower beds and done a nice brick retaining wall right up along the fence line, that they had spent a lot of money just in materials for. Never mind the time they put in constructing it. Needless to say, my friend came away with the biggest crap-eating grin. For the mere price of $325, he was entitled to expand his yard of more than 30 years by about 800 square feet. And Karen and her husband, who happened to be the polar opposite of his wife in personality and was super nice, spent the next week moving their garden, retaining wall, and all of the dirt that was on my friend's property, so that I could build the fence on his side of the actual property line. They then hired the cheapest contractors they could find to slap up a fence on their side of the property line. They spent almost as much as my friend did on their new fence. I gave my friend the friends and family discount. 3 years later, the last 20 feet or so of their fence is on the ground already, because it was such a crappy job that it fell over in a moderate windstorm this past spring. My friend's fence is still standing rock solid, and his dogs are definitely making good use of the extra 800 square feet. Gym stalker. One night, I, 18 male, was at the gym around 10 p.m. because I worked all day and my gym stays open all night. I was casually working out as I always have. Out of nowhere, this very short Hispanic guy comes out of nowhere and asks me what I'm doing later. Thinking this is very odd, I decided to ignore him and act like I couldn't hear him because of my headphones. He kept asking me but eventually left. When I finished my workout, I went into the locker room to get my keys and check myself out in the mirror. As I entered the locker room, the guy was sitting on the bench, staring at me, like watching my every move. So I skip looking at myself in the mirror and grab my keys and go to the bathroom quick. I can see he starts to follow me as I head to the urinal, so I quickly resort to a stall. When I left the stall, he is still staring from the urinal. I ignore him and start leaving the gym, but he still follows me. Once again, he asks me what I'm doing tonight and what my name is, but this time I couldn't pretend to not hear him, so I just said, "Sorry man, I'm not interested," and quickly got to my car and drove away. A week later, I had work again this day, so I was at the gym around 10 p.m. and everything was normal. I was working out, saw some friends, and then I see the same guy from a week ago staring at me while laying against an empty wall. I try to ignore him, but every machine or workout I do, he starts to follow me. I stayed by some friends so he would hopefully not come near me. When those friends left, so did he, so I thought I was safe. I get my stuff together and head out around 11:30. At this point, my phone had died. I was a little worried, but then I started to freak out because when I approached my car, there was a rose in my truck's handle, driver's side. I actually started to run and went back in to get assistance from someone working because I didn't feel like dying that day. After removing it, I sped home as fast as I could. A few days after, I had a normal workout and didn't see him again until I went to my truck. He was parked right next to me, standing in front of his car. While I got in, I could see him watching me the whole time. Now every time I go late at night, he's waiting for me and asking me weird questions. I talked to the workers about this, and they said he's not from here and is just trying to be nice. But I can't help but wonder why he doesn't get the hint when I tell him no all the time. I wake up hours early in the morning to go to the gym now, but when I go late, he's still there watching me every time. What should I do? Another time, there was a rose on my windshield and a phone wire wrapped around my handle. Here's a picture. Then more recently, he added me on Snapchat. I don't know how he knows my name or how he knew what car was mine in the first place. Alright guys, that is all for today. Thank you for watching, I appreciate it. And as always, drop a like if you enjoyed and subscribe for more. So take care and I'll see you next time.